Come unwrap some holiday magic this season in Denver, where the lights are brighter and the shopping is grander, where the season feels a whole lot more wonderful. Discover great hotels and more things to do at milehighholidays.com.
Oh, man. So, what am I supposed to admit up to now? Yes, I did share a whole thing where I said, forget your Valentine's memes. I did share a whole thing where I said I didn't like the way society is going. What would it be in Valentine's and all, and people over here being butthurt. I know that Valentine's Day is tomorrow even. But as far as I'm concerned, why so many people gotta be butthurt about the same day every year? You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, why in the world... Hey, you know what? Why don't we just talk about it now? It's the right show to do it. Hey, welcome to the J-Man Show here on K360 Radio.
OTR drivers, keep your business rolling and your finances traveling toward a positive financial future. Make TaxesForTruckers.com your partner to handle the money side of things. Started by the daughter of a long-haul driver, TaxesForTruckers.com understands your business and can help you pay less taxes, keep your books, and track your finances, keeping you on the road towards your financial goals. And they're local in the Midwest, but available nationwide. Get started at TaxesForTruckers.com. That's taxes, the number 4, truckers.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 46, the second half of the first double special of 2018, and needless to say, we have a lot to get into, because tomorrow is a pretty big day for all of you that have couples, or on the verge of dating, or trying to get somewhere in your life, whereas a lot of you other people like to just sit there and complain all the time, because that's what you do best. Yes, as I see like everybody is still trying to change the day of tomorrow's name now. Oh yeah, we're not going to call it Valentine's Day, we're going to call it Galentine's Day, or no, we're going to call it Single Awareness Day. You know, I've already done an episode on this, and needless to say, it's just pathetic now. If you are well in the age of 20 and up, stop trying to change this holiday's name. Valentine's Day is not the bane to your existence. You're just sitting there complaining about something because, oh, well, you know, I had a traumatic experience, and I don't know how to date anymore. Oh, I'm just single all the time. You know, all men suck. Oh, all women are bitches, and all that. Yeah, no, stop it right there. Stop making excuses for yourself. All you sit there and do is complain every year. I mean, you know, whenever we have a new year, January is always it's the healthy new me. It's the month for me to get it together so I can have rippling muscles, so I can look better and feel more confident about myself. But boy howdy, after 31 days, it all changed when the 28 days come into play, doesn't it? Because every time, it's not about Black History Month with some people. Yeah, some people can't handle that. But, you know, there are those people out there that sit there and complain about Valentine's Day. February 14 is the bane of every single person's existence. Which is weird. Because it's not the bane of my existence. I guess it's for those out there who have to complain about it all the time. I mean, it comes every year. It's just like Christmas, you know what I'm saying? You know, for some of y'all act like that's the road to WrestleMania. Like, that's the deadline when y'all need to have a relationship. It's not the deadline for that. No, Valentine's Day is pretty much just a holiday to just get through. I mean, we got to get to February 15th somehow. But you see, like, at the end of the day, as a single man myself, you know, here's how I actually handle Valentine's Day every year. I actually go out and try to meet people. You know, I try to get out of my own way. I try to go ahead and say, you know what? Instead of just looking at that person over there, I would like to go over there and talk to them, get to know them, see what they're all about. Maybe there's something interesting there I'm missing out on. But you see how other people are. Oh, they'll come up with excuses. They'll say there's embarrassments. Their friends won't like you. She won't accept you. Oh, she's so scared of you and stuff like that. You're strangers. You don't really know each other. Of course. If your great-great-grandfather wasn't a perfect stranger to your great-great-grandmother, chances are you probably wouldn't exist at all because your parents wouldn't exist and then some. The idea is we all are supposed to go out there. We are highly sociable creatures as human beings. I don't know why y'all keep trying to mess this up. Nowadays, it's a little thing called rape culture, or it's stalking somebody, or harassment nowadays, just to even try to get to know somebody, which is a weakness in itself. As I sit there and I look at it from time to time, it's like, okay, so wait a minute, you're already afraid because you don't know me, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to get to know you so we can go ahead and get through this void that's there because there's no need for a void there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nowadays people come up with an excuse for that even. Oh, we get to know you. And that's okay if you don't. But just be real about it. Be honest. I mean, speak your mind on the issue, but the thing about it is, don't make it an issue. You know, like, if you want to get to know somebody, here's the number one thing. I guess to actually get a Valentine, you need to go ahead and be active about getting a Valentine. Do you ever think about that? You ever think that, hey, maybe I'm the reason for my failure in this whole thing? Now, keep in mind, this is the Mark.II Valentine special. I've already told you about the different types of people out there who sabotage their own pursuits and romance and Valentines in general. Number one thing is stop looking at February 14th as the deadline to get somebody. Look at it as the start date. To be honest with you, it's like February 14th is like the beginning of you going ahead and looking for somebody. Whereas for other people out there, they just sit there and they make all these excuses, but you don't have to be one of them people. You don't have to be those people that throw around memes. As a matter of fact, today I did a counter to that, and I don't know whether it was a good joke or not. Then again, it probably is because like over 17 people like it, so that's achievement somewhere where a can of corn is sitting there. Now, a lot of you in the comedy game know what a can of corn is, right? Yeah, exactly. I don't have to explain that. And I won't, because you should actually be smart enough to know it. I know everybody in the J360 Legion knows what that means. It's just to the point now where you see like people are just throwing this stuff up because they can. And then you got that one person that has a vlog with over so many subscribers, and people think that this person is a guru about everything when it comes to relationships. Stop investing in people like that, really. They don't know any more about love than you do. If anything else, it's like this. You'll see that their relationship is exploited. You'll see that eventually they'll break up. And then they'll say, like, dating's a trap. Don't go into it. Oh, get a dog. Blah, 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 blah. Now, while getting a pet is nice, because the companionship is great, but the thing about it is when you meet another person that's on that level like you, it's something to treasure from time to time. But that being said, it doesn't mean that you won't put any work in. You will put work in. A lot of it. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, and then there's going to be WTF days. And those WTF days are just going to be coming right out the wazoo. And then see, for somebody like me that likes to argue, I can handle that. I like arguing because I think it's the most fun part of a relationship. Even if I'm wrong, chances are I'm going to come up with some semantics to go ahead and try to have some fun with it because, at the end of the day, there's just something exciting about it. I guess because I'm pretty much a hot-blooded individual, but we're going to go ahead and say this, though. Some people are just wanting it smooth. Some people just want it to be like the Disney movies. Oh, we live happily ever after. Everything is perfect the way it's supposed to be. Please. Even Lifetime movies don't work out like that. But you see some of y'all sit there, and because it didn't happen for you, you don't want it to happen for anybody else. So you sit there, you try to talk about how bad it is, how relationships are horrible and all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. You're not an expert at that kind of stuff. If you've been through a bad relationship, and I mean a real horrible relationship, more power to you. I'm glad you had the guts to survive, and hopefully you never went back to that person that was a total nightmare to you. If you went through something really traumatic, I apologize. See, my direction is not to you. My direction is to those lazy so-and-sos that are out here that's going ahead regurgitating the same old thing to destroy something that they know nothing about. The hopeless romantics, for instance. I mean, there is a model out there that I know, and she's a very pretty girl, but the thing about it, well, obviously she's a model, but the thing about it is this. She's always talking about how it's hard for her to meet people because she's a hopeless romantic. Really? She was just in a video with a whole bunch of guys around her and stuff like that, and she was talking about romance. Really? How stupid can you be? How pathetic do you think your viewer base is? But you see, she's got such a nice look to her that people forget it. See, that happens with a lot of people. I noticed that on, like, those that are sitting there vlogging and they got their little mini cam and stuff like that. And they say some totally outlandish crap, but as long as you get to see the goods, I guess, you just don't rationally think about it. See, me on the other hand, because I've been around before, and the thing about it is that I've actually gone on dates and have experience doing the deed, it doesn't affect me as much. Like, sometimes nowadays, I kind of want the mental stimulation. I kind of want to see, all right, does the person have an education, can actually speak on that level? You know what I'm saying? But things are so verbose and twisted nowadays, and nowadays it's like if somebody doesn't really like you, they can call you out on stuff, or they'll throw Me Too on you. Now, I'm proud of the Me Too moment, don't get me wrong. Harassment in general should never happen to anybody at all, and if you actually are doing that kind of stuff, you're not in the school of J-Man at that point. But if you are actually wanting to meet somebody, you actually want to get out of your own way and step up, you're in the school of J-Man. And the thing about it is this: you should know that, hey, when you're going too far and when you're not going going too far. So try to be in control of yourself. And if anything, that's when you need to love yourself a little bit more, because you're going too damn crazy, thinking all this time like they're going to love you back and stuff. Not if you're going too far. And you'll know when you go too far. If you're sitting there walking or looking at them, staring at them from afar, or if you're standing there where they are from afar. See, that happens in movies. Romantic movies do that kind of stuff because it's written to do that. You are not a movie. Some of y'all sit there and act like you're in a movie, and it's like, no, not at all. Get over yourself. It doesn't work like that for you. As far as I'm concerned, nowadays you just need to stop. Because as you sit there on Valentine's night, which a lot of you are, you're going to have your cookie dough ice cream there, and you're going to be sitting there eating that cookie dough ice cream, looking at that Lifetime movie, crying your eyes out, talking about like how you can't meet nobody, and then at the same time, the Lifetime movie's looking at you for a minute, and it'll become self-aware and say, okay, you know what? We might be a movie. We're just a movie. We're not a metaphor to life or anything, but, you know, we look at you, and while we have our problems, you're all sorts of messed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the TV off and just leave you in this portal of sadness you put yourself in. Yeah, see that? Because that's how bad it is. Because, see, some people just live with that whole idealism that their life is a movie. And no, you're not. I'm sure as some of you do your declaration speech of your independence and your narrative of how, you don't need a man. Oh, you don't need a woman. You need yourself. You need your self-love. Yeah, you do need your self-love before you can meet somebody else and totally try to help out and be an asset to whatever they need in their lives. Yeah, you do kind of need to love yourself. But don't get too selfish and self-indulged and proud of yourself to the point where you're unrelatable. You got to be relatable in some sort of way, and then you do have to change. Which, by the way, I found out this as I was doing my research not too long ago. One of my feminist adversaries, I should say, she's a nice girl and all, pretty and everything else, but, she's kind of all sorts of messed up, and I'm going to tell you why. Because she said the reason for her whole method in the feminism game is because she doesn't want to be a part of relationships or closeness because it will change her. She's afraid of even being pregnant because she's afraid of the pregnancy changing her. And it's like, hello, in time and with growth, growth is change. The thing about it is, it's like, why do people forget that? Why is it that anybody forgets that as we all get older, and hey, eventually we're all going to die someday. That's a little later on in this episode. But the point is this. We all are going to mature and get older eventually. You kind of want to meet somebody so that you don't kind of go through all this stuff alone and depressed and whatnot. Even though, some of y'all just get sad and you think it's real depression to a point. And sometimes it can lead to that. But you got to go ahead and understand this. Sometimes y'all don't allow yourselves to be sad. Some of y'all don't even know how to lose properly, which is actually the source of another episode. But we're going to touch base on that a little bit, like if the relationship doesn't work out. But the thing about it is, she said all that kind of stuff. And the thing about it is, I thought feminism was actually a movement towards change. I thought it was a cultural reimagining, which one of them said to me. And at the same time, I tried to sit there and think, what the hell does that even mean? But going back into Valentine's Day and whatnot, it's a 50-50 shot whether it works out or not. And the best way to get that 50 on your side is to make your move. And if you haven't made your move, well, hell, you haven't done anything. It's kind of like wanting to start a business, but you didn't even put up the startup money or the investment in what you wanted to do. It's like when some people sit there and ask me, hey, Jay, how do you do J360 radio? It's like, my brother, are you that damn lazy? Figure it out. I don't have to tell you how to do it. I don't have to tell you how to start your own stuff. What you should be doing is kind of what Einstein and a lot of other great innovators of the time did, and go and experiment. Scare yourself a little. But going back into Valentine's Day, that's the same thing. Some of y'all should look into speed dating. Some of y'all should look into, hey, you know what? Why don't I go to a quiet place sometime? There's people there. You never know what'll happen. And the thing about it is, some of y'all are afraid of random encounters due to, the rise in crime and everything, even though crime actually went down years ago. But as usual, when we listen to the media, everything's overhyped. So at the same time, we always think that anybody and everybody is trying to get us. And the thing about it is, from time to time, they're not really trying to get you. I mean, most of the people that try to get you are the ones that already know you anyway. Yeah, believe it or not. But when it comes to like Valentine's Day, though, don't take it out on this day just because. Don't you know that we have more holidays to get through? And if you really think about it, you so hung up on this Valentine's Day stuff, you forget that all of the fun stuff and the sexual craziness happens in summer. Yeah, all the orgy stuff happens in summertime. So while you're sitting there butthurt about a winter month and during the winter season, by the way, Like, come June, July, August, and even September, that's the time to be fooling around and having a good time. And during October, that's when everybody's wearing costumes and stuff. And hey, to be honest with you, a lot of men and women out there, they like to do the Roman and Greek thing at that time. So yeah, you're over here worrying about nothing. Like I said, if anything, Valentine's Day should be the start of you getting your game together. That's what it is for me. I mean, I got a lot of rebuilding to do anyway as I get to where I need to be. But I don't sit there isolating myself and saying that I'm not good enough, I'm not going to make it, I'm not attractive enough. Don't you know that your attitude and how you feel about yourself is exactly what the attractiveness is? But you'll listen to any of these other people. You'll listen to the Kardashian family. You'll listen to these rich people that pretty much don't even know who you are, but they're happy you bought their product. And as far as I'm concerned, why do you look at Steve Harvey as a guru? Do you not know how old he is? And not only that, oh yeah, well, you see, with age comes wisdom. But you see, the thing about that is, the man has a lot of issues with all 3 of his wives. Yes, 3 wives. And the thing about it is this. You sit there and you look at him and you try to give him a pass or a benefit of the doubt and say, he really knows what he's talking about. I like that book he written. Man, forget that book. That is a punk out book. At the end of the day, I wish I did come with some instruction manuals. That way so I could look at it and say, oh, so that's what I'm supposed to do with my life. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember rising up and I hit a curve at one time in life. And now that I'm pulling myself back from it and I'm getting back on my feet and doing what I need to do, maybe that book could have been some help to me. But then again, I know what the hell I'm doing nowadays. You see, but the thing about it is, to become better at something, you have to fail at something too. So like I'm really great at J360 radio. I'm pretty good at independent filmmaking. Pretty good at putting things together. I'm trying to look into programming and coding. But I also know this, right? There are things I need to learn, like, the Spanish language, or like trying to play music, and then the idea of, hey, you know what? Meeting people, building relationships, and maintaining those relationships from time to time. And the thing is, if there's a bunch of people out there who you think because of their looks that they can't do it, can do it, I know I can do it. So that's the fighting chance here. But you see, some of y'all don't even give yourselves a chance to even fight for what you want. If you see a great job out there, right, that pays well and you get your weekends off, you would fight for that, wouldn't you? Well, the same thing is for a relationship. I mean, you sitting there worrying about somebody's ex, you're worrying about their father liking you, you're worrying about their friends liking you, you're worrying about all these other people out there respecting you and stuff like that. Here's how respect gets developed. Don't give a damn if they like you or not. Just go for it. I mean, hell, you doing the best you can. If you working, you got a roof over your head, you got money coming in, you're maintaining and taking care of your own, and you feel confident in yourself to go ahead and be with somebody else, then go ahead and be with somebody else. What the hell does it matter what I or anybody else thinks? And you see, the only reason why I'm saying this is because it's my show and I'm allowed to say whatever I really want. But the thing about it is that owe yourself that ability to get out there and talk to that person if you want to. You're getting older. Eventually, we all will pass away. Considering all the craziness going on with Trump in the White House and all this stuff, and the idea that they can't stop poking that North Korea bear and everything else, without the Russia bear coming to poke in and everything else. Needless to say, the stuff is here. They're just looking for a way to ignite the powder keg. So as far as I'm concerned, why don't you just make moves? And this includes all of you in the LBGT community. Make moves. But if somebody's not about your reindeer games, you're just going to have to learn how to deal with it. If somebody says no, pack it up, let it go, move on. If the relationship turns sour, like say if you actually got into the relationship and it just doesn't go well, or you might be going through some bad patches here and there, you got to learn how to deal with it and ride this stuff out. But chances are, if it's really mutual, it'll come back together on its own. You just got to let it play out. But some of y'all are too eager and just don't want to have to deal with this because you might have severe abandonment issues. That's why you sit there and say, I'm just going to try. I hope that she comes back to me. Oh, I hope he comes back and stuff like that. That person will probably come back if you're actually patient about it. But you see, the thing is, you don't work on your flaws. You don't make sure that you take a look at what you've done out of the whole thing. Because, you see, a little thing like our ego is what makes us feel like we're invaluable to stuff. You know what I'm saying? We are infallible. Like, we are better at what we did. We never did anything wrong. But you see, the problem is, when you're in a relationship, you're that second participant or that third participant. Because I know some of y'all are freaks out there. You know what I'm saying? You're third wheel, but at the same time, on weekends, you get a lot of love, don't you? I know that's screwed up, but it's true though. It's out there. I'm not gonna lie. This is inclusive. And all of you polysexuals, you're everybody's friend at that point. But no, we'll get over that for a minute. What I'm saying is, if you're feeling as though that you don't want to be that side piece or whatever you got going on and stuff like that, you're allowed to say something about it. You're allowed to move out of that whole thing if you want to. I mean, if it's becoming traumatic for you, yeah, maybe you should leave that relationship. Maybe you should just let it go. But you see what the number one problem is with a lot of people that are in circumstances like that? They don't give themselves time to heal. You know, like, say, like, if somebody's been cheating on you, which could happen to anybody. I mean, sometimes, see, like, you might have a happy romance and all that kind of stuff on the outside. Everybody sees that. But you see, you don't see all the hard times. You don't see all the times where they had to really use true grit and work together as a unit and be a team from time to time. You don't see none of that kind of stuff because nobody ever sees everything about somebody else. And because you don't have somebody at present, you see them in a relationship and stuff like that, and you're so into it, you're so obsessed with it because that's something you want. But say like those people are not all happy the way they are, and they're not all together upstairs and stuff like that, because that does happen. I mean, at the end of the day, what have you been obsessing over for the last few months or so, right? Because some of y'all just sit there and you just gawk about it. You're like, I wish I had somebody like that. You could get somebody like that, but you're so busy looking at somebody else's playbook, you don't even care. And then when somebody calls you out on it, then you get defensive, right? Then you go ahead and you just say, you don't know my life. You shouldn't be like that. As a matter of fact, you're responsible for everything that has happened, and so on and so on, because you love to misplace your anger. You're not looking at taking care of yourself and being a little bit smarter about this. You got to get better at this stage of the game. I'm talking to all of you because you all have potential to meet somebody, but you waste it on trivial things. You waste it on stuff that you may have seen on television. You waste it on stuff that you read on a t-shirt or that you saw on the internet. And by the way, social media is not a good haven for those of you that are single. From time to time, like I say, if you're really looking for somebody and stuff like that, remember your value, yes. Remember your self-respect, yes. But also remember this, right? There are people on social media, you're only seeing a part of their life. Okay, like if they're out there at the most romantic isle they could be at, if they are on a charter plane, if they're on like this great fancy vacation with somebody, and the thing about it is, you never know, that person and that person might not be happy at this point, and as far as I'm concerned, that person might have maxed out their credit card. I mean, the trip could be during one of the most dangerous times of the year to be at the place. You don't really know. So as far as I'm concerned, stop being a part of the act. If you see all that wild stuff going on, you got to go ahead and develop your own self. As for me, I mean, hell, I could just take my date to Battery Park and we just sitting out there looking at the ocean and everything else, not giving a damn. Whereas, like, you're so worried about going to Rio or all these areas that you just can't even fit into the budget plan right now. You see what I'm saying? And what's really bad about it all is that everybody wants to compete and keep up with the Joneses, but little did you realize the Joneses foreclosed. And the whole thing about playing the romance game is this. You're going to strike out. You're going to misinterpret. There's going to be times where it's a bum stare. It's like looking for a job, you know? Like your first interview should be similar to your first date. I mean, it's not really you yourself, right? It's not really all of you and your flaws. It's you and your representative. You are representing in a way to make yourself ideal. You know, grooming yourself up real good and everything else. That's what you need to do. And it goes for the men and women as I speak about this, and those of you in the LGBT community. I'm talking to everybody who's listening. You got to go ahead. You got to compete. And you are competing. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's like, it's not a competition. It's not a competition. Yeah, it is a competition. So get out there looking your Sunday best when you need to. And then you probably think, oh, well, Jay, I don't know where to take this person. Well, this is where the talking to them is actually pretty good. Talk to them about what they're interested in, and then talk about what you're interested in, and try to meet halfway. And if you can't meet halfway, well, this is where we messed up, huh? Because you see, the thing about it is, it's not going to work out at that point. And good luck with dinner and a movie, because you can't talk in a movie. And if you do, I'll be the usher sitting there saying, all right, you got to go. And it's just that simple. And people love to lie all the time. And it's so sad. Because, like, you'll sit there and you'll be trying to be impressive and all this wild stuff, right? But you look really silly. Here's the thing. You're already impressive. And the girl already said yes before you went on the date, right? So you already won that bout. So as you're out there going to the event, that's what you need to do. You just need to focus on giving that person a good time and, most importantly, yourself a good time. Now, some people have asked me, you know, when it comes to tipping, should you tip or should the girl tip, or or the date tip, I should say. Remember, I'm speaking in terms of a heterosexual male, but I do need to include everybody else. Well, that depends, because you see, after a while, it becomes a team effort. But for that first date, you want to make that first impression. So if you're the one that initiated the event, yeah, you should tip. You should really bring about the first time. I mean, some of y'all probably sit there and say, oh, Jay, that's a little old-fashioned, blah, 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 blah. So let me get this straight. You want to go right into the friend zone then? I mean, while you're at it, why don't you get her to pay for your milkshake? Because that's a good idea too, right? Or you know what, why don't y'all just split the bill down the middle? Because, see, that's what her and her girlfriends do. Or that's what him and his guy pals do. You see what I'm saying? If you are the initiator of the event, your job is to take them on an adventure. A good adventure. And the thing about it is that if any of you even think about engaging in date rape or anything like that, because everything's rape culture, but date rape is the number one thing that is a no-no, and you should never do that, except no. Learn how to control yourself, especially if whoever you're dating is coming out there looking as slamming as can be. That can wait, and as far as I'm concerned, you need to be patient about it. And while you're at it, if you ever do attempt anything like that, you're automatically out of the school of J-Man. Forget you. I don't know you. I disown you. It's just that simple. Because it's bad enough that everybody shoots from the hip, and the thing about it is, anybody out here that's trying to date, we all have a target on our backs, so you might want to get it together. It's like this, as far as I'm concerned, who just got caught on the list nowadays, because the list is a lot longer nowadays when it comes to sexual harassment and allegations and whatnot. I think it's Aziz Ansari or something like that. And then there's a lot of hearsay and a little bit of finger pointing and that going on, and needless to say, it's so bad that the idea of the rules of engagement are just insane nowadays, And it's like you really don't know who to believe. I mean, I don't think he did too much anything, but you see more and more is coming out from that person, and then it's like he doesn't really remember. And you see, the thing about it is, when it comes to circumstances, a lot of people really don't remember what goes on because we weren't there, and the people involved in it seem to be making up stories as they go on, and then the chances are something may never had happened, because a lot of significant things have gone into litigation where people really don't identify what's going on, and some people are just good at being pathological liars. Now, it's not to say that young lady has lied. Maybe she did go through what she went through, and maybe he did go through all that kind of stuff, but consensual sex, we don't know what that is as a culture anymore, right? Because we just flush that down the drain because we don't really know what that is, and everybody's calling everybody out on different things now. You know what I'm saying? And it's so sad, too, because this goes against the idea of due process. But then again, you already have somebody in the office of the president that has been known to commit sexual acts without permission. Been known to not keep his hands to himself. But somehow he got elected to be president, even though on an Access Hollywood bus he happily admitted it. And then he tried to say he wasn't the one that did it. But you know what, enough about Trump. We're going back into Valentine's Day again. The idea is that Valentine's Day should be the start of you getting your game together. It should be the start of you actually trying to date and meet somebody. And then when you get to that relationship level, then you'll know what it's all about. And then there's going to be a day where you and the missus probably don't even give a damn about Valentine's Day because you know what? You'll probably both be working that day anyway. So you got to make the weekend count. You know what I'm saying? Or so you use it as time to spice it up because as you are working, that's probably the one time you get to spend a lot of time with each other. It is what it is at that point, but how you spend it, you can spend it as one of the happiest days ever, either being single or either being in a couple. But the thing about it is you choose not to because it's like the easiest thing to do. And you see, that's why I go ahead and I post all that counter stuff to all that anti-Valentine's Day stuff, because Valentine's Day is not the bane to anyone's existence here. It's been around for so long, and I think the man that it was named after, St. Valentine's Day, was killed on that day. And there's a lot of history behind that, but as we go on about this kind of stuff, you realize that just hating a day just because it deals with the ideal of love, which is something that a lot of people are having a hard time understanding, is ridiculous. It's just a thing to do because people made it popular in elementary school. It's just a thing to do because people say, hey, you know what? I hate Valentine's Day. And then you ask them why, and then they're like, because I don't have anybody. And it don't make no sense. You know, even as I do this radio show right now, I sit there and I always keep optimism on meeting a lot of people, and I always keep the optimism on who's going to be the future Mrs. Brady. But the idea is that I work for it, though, you know? And there are times that I lose, but I managed to step up because, hey, that just wasn't the person I needed, but I have a better idea of what I wanted. And the same thing is what you all could be doing. And then the thing is, go to the gym. You can meet anybody at the gym. Isn't that what y'all been talking about? New year, new me. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and put some reps together. I'm going to do what I need to do. Oh, yeah, this is my time. Yeah, build it up. And then that person is looking at you, putting all the effort and sweating it all out and getting yourself large and in charge. You know, I got a good friend named S. Anthony Thomas who's doing that. And that man is going to kill the game, even though, you know, it might not be his main goal, but still, after a while, he's going to have some women looking at him. Women in my age group, and then some. Yep, that's a beast there. By the way, shout outs to you, S. I mean, you think about it. The idea is that you gotta get it together. You gotta have some goal setting. And then the thing is, build yourself. And then on Valentine's Day, start working on your stroke game. Well, actually, that's a little different. But if you need to, love yourself. But the truth is that as you do go about this kind of stuff, this is how you actually work on the new you, by saying that forget your past, learn from your past, but don't let it go ahead and block out your future, because this is your time to meet people. Even in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, hell, at your 60s, because there are people out there that really weren't about hanging with people. Take this chance now. Look inwards at your past. Give it the finger if you need to, but it's time to move on from it. And it's time to go ahead and walk that line and go ahead and see what it's all about. Now, if you encounter any feminists and any counter daters and people out there that sit there and lie, just remember this. Between this Valentine's Day special and the last Valentine's Day special, those people are a lot more older and twice as pathetic now, going ahead about their narrative here, trying to lie to you all about like why a relationship is a bad idea and all that bullshit. Don't even listen to it. It's not worth it. If anything, you might as well throw peanuts and laugh at it, because that's a circus. Isn't that something that, you know, the Ringling Brothers Circus went out of business, but everybody else is running around here with clown makeup on and saying all this lies and stuff like that? Because that's what's going on in the culture nowadays. And once you realize what a clown looks like, you'll never take them serious ever again. And a lot of them come out here on Valentine's Day because they always talk about how they can't get anybody. And the truth is that nobody is going to waste any time on clowns like that. And that's about it. You know what I'm saying? So don't sit here and let them dictate to you what happiness is. You are already happy. You are already self-sufficient. But if somebody has to sit there and post memes all the time about it, they're not exactly happy. They're lonely. And it's so painfully obvious that this person is lonely because they post it every day. Have you noticed that on like Instagram? Like they'll sit there and they'll throw their Valentine's meme up and they'll throw all this stuff up every time. I remember one time I did a counter to that, and then one of them said, "Oh, that's a bit on the nose. The original posting was kind of a joke." And I told her to shut up and leave me alone. Because when I post something on my page, y'all, and you don't agree with it, I already done got what I wanted. I got the attention. And needless to say is I'm happy about that, because that goes to show that if I had to explain the joke already died, but you're already a joke because you fell into it. That's called a trap. But enough about a magician should never really reveal its trick, but that's one on the house. But when you think about it, though, it just goes to show it doesn't take long for people to want to come around and thought police based off of anything now. And you see, I think there's something going on in Minnesota not too long ago that's supposed to be brought up to the Supreme Court now, because it has something to do with, is it consensual sex or is it same-sex relationships or marriage? It's something going on. But you realize that we as a country, we're supposed to be a country about freedom. See, I love the idealism of America. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care about the American government, because the American government's been broke for quite some time. And I don't really care for all this rhetoric going around about making America great again. You mean make America isolated, racist, and fearful again? I don't care for none of that. That stuff is stupid. All this blatant stupidity is going to get caught up one of these days. Because after a while, a lot of rational people, we ain't going to take too much. And there's too much serious crap going on to let people try to ruin our relationships and our ability to form relationships. So don't let little pieces of technology and people going on memes and vlogs and everything ruin that for you. All right? Because sometimes the best thing to do is turn it off. But going back into this, though, it's just too much is going on. Your dating problem shouldn't even be the top grade of what's going on. You know what I mean? You should always try to get that under control, but always try to meet people and always try to be open to new possibilities. That's what it should be about. But I don't know what is the narrative nowadays, but it's not my narrative. So I can only live by my narrative. And I can only do what I need to do to override it if it's getting ridiculous from time to time. But, as another Valentine's Day is approaching, think about somebody you could give some cards to. Read some poems. Don't send nudes. I'm sure some of you have seen Fridays at J360, and that's on the YouTube channel at, youtube.com/J360 Productions. You can actually check it out anytime you want to, where me and Al were talking about that. But don't send that kind of stuff, because needless to say, the NSA has a database, and it's gone wacky now, so it can get anything it wants to get. So don't do that to yourself, all right? But, think about some ways that are just nice gestures. And the thing about it is, you don't have to send your ideal crush something every day. Just send them something every so often if it's long distance. But the thing about it is, it's like, make your move, hold it together, give it some time, and let the relationship be a journey, and you might have something there. But if you kibosh that in any way, you can't blame that other person from turning you down. If you go a little too eager, you can't blame that other person for turning you down, because they might not be about that life. You're just going to have to be a little bit more understanding, and you're going to have to understand this. When you're dating, you're not in a relationship. You can go out with anybody you want. Now, if it's a steady monogamous relationship that could probably lead to marriage, it's a little different. But if you're just dating, be open to the idea that you're just dating and deal with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when somebody's sitting there and saying, oh, well, that person was making the moves on me, and then all of a sudden they left to talk to somebody else. Well, see, the thing about that is probably you weren't so receptive and you weren't listening. And see, that other person has to carry on the dilemma now. But the thing about it is this: as you moved on to meet somebody else, and you're not too worried about that other person that just didn't care for you anymore. That's just the way the game is. And the only way to win is to play. And the thing about it is, you'll sit there, you'll listen to those people that have not seen Waiting to Exhale, but want to reenact Waiting to Exhale, tell you otherwise. Don't ever go for that. Matter of fact, you see that kind of person, run for the hills. It ain't worth it. And if anything, they're going to be a joke to themselves and other people. But it's getting to that point, though, and I'm kind of out of material right now, but the idea is this. Valentine's Day could be fun. Make it fun, okay? Stop all this crazy stuff. If you are in my age group, you know better. I'm sorry, straight up, you know better. Oh, and by the way, don't blame it on anxiety. Okay, look, I used to have anxiety too, but here's how that goes. See, anxiety was taking a lot of storage in my life, and bitch wasn't paying rent, so I threw her out. You understand what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. You need to do that for yourself. Anxiety is not important right now, and if you're not making the steps to recover from anxiety, it could well hold you down. And the thing about it is recovery is possible. Just be open to it. And Valentine's Day is not the source of your misfortune. You really got to dig deep in your soul and see what it is, okay? But like I said before, it's time to wrap it up. So that's episode 46 for you, and that is the end of the first double special in 2018. And I want to thank everybody in the J360 Legion for hanging out with me today. It is always a pleasure doing this show for you all. You're great. You're amazing. Even though there's times where it can be late, but it's well worth it in the end, right? But keep in mind, episode 47 will be coming along soon. And for you Cyclone fans out there, don't worry. We have more episodes of that coming along as well. But until then, you take care and have a happy Valentine's Day from me and everybody else at J360 Radio. This is Jay, signing off.
When you download the Baker's app, you have easy access to savings every day. Get the most out of weekly sales and receive personalized coupons to save on your favorite items, all while earning 1 fuel point for every dollar spent. Baker's makes it easy to save while you shop, whether it's in-store or online, so you get the most value out of every trip, every time. Download the Baker's app now to save big on your next purchase. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Must have a digital account to redeem offers. Restrictions may apply. See site for details.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. Whether you're making a traditional roasted turkey or spicy turkey tacos, your go-to shrimp cocktail, or your first Cajun risotto, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace your traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Choose from a great selection of digital coupons and use them up to 5 times in one transaction. Check our app for details. Baker's, fresh for everyone.